It's a great compliment to have your company.
No, I appreciate you guys. Trust me.
Hello and welcome to BreakThruMag.com. We have a very, very special guest with us tonight. He goes by the name of Mr. Talent Harris, otherwise known as Talent.
And we're breaking through.
Yes, we're breaking through right now. Actor, writer, stand-up comedian. What else is on your resume that I'm not privy to?
Radio personality.
Okay. For sure. 104
marketeer, promoter. Because, you know, intertwined on the business angle, you got everything from booking agency, management company, marketing promotion company. So, I mean, like anything that entertainment can branch out and touch, you pretty much got hands on.
Okay, so do you promote other artists as well as yourself? Okay.
And that's the whole essence of coming to Rochester is like, people know me, but I use that door to introduce them into all this talent.
Sure.
That if they're not a person that frequents the city or frequents all the comedy shows on TV, but you can't see all of them, it's a whole world out there you don't get to see. So I use this to come up here and introduce them to all these acts. It's like people leave and they like, they're forced to remember names that they're like, what's their name? Oh my God! They got, you know. So
I came last month to, that's my most recent show that I've actually seen of yours, and I was crying. Like, I was obnoxious. I'm sure I was the person, like, people were saying, like, shut up, like, but I was crying. I'm like, oh my God, like, why is everybody not crying with me? Because it's so,
Charles Walden.
The most hilarious. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. So, you know, so you're coming to Rochester. Why here so much? Why, you know, we're the third largest city in New York, but we have a lot of great things going on. We have a beautiful city.
But really what it is about roughly almost close to 20 years ago, something amazing happened by luck. Like, you know, your agency, I was with the William Morris agency, and they would book me in comedy clubs all over the world. So when I came up here and got booked in this comedy club, it was very funny because the owner, he didn't know who I was. He just knew I came recommended through the agency, and they had Chappelle and everybody. So he was like, we'll take whatever they recommend.
Whatever they got, right.
So he's like, we don't know this guy. He's not going to do the numbers. So what they did was kind of like underpaid me at the first show. And I was like, well, you don't know who I am? He was like, well, I don't know who you are. And I was like, okay, but the people know who I am. So I went on the radio, and this was the beginning of my relationship with WDKX. I went on the radio, and I knew once people heard me, and I knew anywhere that there's a market that watches Def Comedy Jam and Apollo and stuff like that, once they hear me and I start saying my slogans and all that stuff, I already know. So I end up selling crazy numbers and selling these shows out. So when the guy was paying me at the end of the week, and he was like, who are you? He was like, I was like, dude, I was trying to tell you that. Once I get on the radio and make them know who I am, they're going to know who I am.
And I'm going to need some more pay.
So he was like really amazed because it was his first time seeing the urban flavor like we talked and brought it. So he was like, how can I have this more? And I did just what I do now. I said, well, what I can do is there's a whole bunch of us. Guys that I know that are hilarious. And I could come up, we can work a deal out. I'll come up once a month. I'll bring you 2 or 3 guys. And still fill your time slot. You do the 4 shows, and for 2.5, 3 years, it just was selling out, all the way until they closed the comedy club. You know, they were inside, you know, downtown, and when the new hotel bought it, they closed the comedy club, and that's the only reason we stopped. So what happened when this opened up a 1.5, 2 years ago, the opportunity presented itself again. It was like, there's another comedy club open in Rochester. You still, the radio station's still there, the same owners, I know the family. Let's see if we can like recreate that energy from back then, and we have.
So will you be playing more shows here at this location?
The same way I used to come once a month with that. Here in the Holiday Inn, the Joke Factory, we're going to bring it here. Like, even if it doesn't happen here, we're going to bring it to Rochester once a month. Because what I noticed as soon as we did it, half the people were the old people from before. They remembered it.
Your fan base.
And then you got new people that's onto it. So with that collaborative effort, it's fantastic.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I love it.
So we're glad we could be of service to town and here in Rochester, New York. So, you know, with many people, we're going to take it back a little bit, back to 1996, Sunset Park, Butter.
First movie, first movie, film.
Yes. You have come a long way. That is many moons ago. What is so different about the talent that we saw then with, I mean, what was it, Terrence Howard, like a bunch of guys, like you look at him now and you're like, okay, he's an empire, talent's coming here all the time. How have you grown in that number of years? I mean, clearly you're promoting, you're doing, you know, but how are you so different from, you know, 1996?
First of all, the business aspect, I learned the business and learned how to be on both sides of it, first of all.
Absolutely.
I made a lot more connections. Again, Sunset Park was my first feature film. I would go on to do 7 or 8 more, but that was the first thing that set the platform for everything I did after that.
Sure.
And I was very young. It was a time in comedy, like even that part, I lucked up and got that part, just happened to be right place, right time. It fit the bill of a character, but that was a fun time. Like that was a time where, you know, you wasn't making a ton of money in comedy, but the little bit you was making, you wasn't saving none of that.
Right, okay.
I mean, I don't do drugs and nothing like that, but I was having fun.
Right, clearly.
You know, so the difference in now is everything's business now. So, you know, you find yourself in an argument over $5 now. And it ain't $5, it's the principle and business of the $5. Like, you need the person to understand, like, you just dropped $5.
Okay.
For no reason. So, I think that's the biggest difference, you know. It's that you grow. Yeah, you get wiser, you grow, and your endeavors are different, and they're more special and more important.
Okay. So something a little bit more surface. Every time I have seen you, I mean, anytime you are doing comedy, there is always a Heineken in your hands. Is this a paid endorsement? Is this just your favorite beverage?
Off and on paid endorsement. Not that you started to get paid, it's like over time, you have enough footage where originally, if you go way back to when I first started, it was actually a Bud. And so it was a brown bottle in the very beginning.
Gotcha.
And then Bud would pay you. And then after that ran out, and I started to like taste different beers or whatever, I just found myself with Heineken by accident.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of the MySpace days and all that stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
So virtual became money. So Heineken was like, wait a minute. Yo, you got a MySpace? And we're gonna cut you a check to hold it. So then you stayed with it. But ultimately, that's in and out. But the bigger reason why I hold a bottle of beer, no matter what it is when you watch a comedian, and I'm gonna let you in a little secret, the microphone you have in one hand. There's a ton of nervous energy shooting through your body at every millisecond. So if you look at a comedian who doesn't hold a drink or something with that second hand, you'll notice that second hand doing a whole bunch of stuff. In and out the pocket, adjusting stuff. And it's only because the nerve energy. So when I hold the Heineken, it's weight that stops the hand from moving, looking nervous. And because of the bottle and not like a can or a cup, it's harder to spill. So I'm able to do physical stuff and jokes and not spill it. But more importantly, it presents an image. Like I don't like to do jokes per se. I like to get up there and talk and be funny and tell stories and stuff like that. And I think that gives me the persona and the look of just the guys kicking it in the cookout. Or in the living room.
Absolutely.
You know,
so pertaining to your comedy, so I mean, I've heard you say things like, you know, if a black man gets fired, how his black wife would act and how his white wife. Like, I mean, you can't be living all this. How do you get such good material that is just so close to home? You can't live all of that.
No, you actually do.
Seriously?
I would say when people like me, like there's a difference in a comedian and a comic. I always tell people.
Oh, okay.
A comic
Please
is the guys who do like the setup jokes, you know, the knock stuff. You can kind of see it's a setup joke. Guys like me who just banter on and tell stories and talk about real life and real situations. Those are the comedians because they're able to create on the fly. 90% of that you live through. The sprinkle of 10% exaggeration and vicariously hearing a story or close to somebody that's been through it. So you kind of so close, you still live through it vicariously. But like all of that stuff, like getting fired, white woman, black woman.
I don't know if it's all true, black women, but a lot of it is very, very close to home. So very close.
It's so true.
That's why it's so funny, actually.
You better get your ass to work, I'll tell you that. Get fired and live with a black woman.
By Wednesday, she's going to be asking, where's your job? So, what would you like us to know about you that we may not know?
I'm a hell of a father. I love kids. And I was hoping to I got 5 kids and I was hoping to have 2 more. It's just not seeming to go into place for me. But I would love to have 2 more kids. Like I love kids. Like most people probably wouldn't know that. Like I think kids keep life in you. They keep you young and rejuvenated, and they keep you on your toes. They keep you thinking about things you wouldn't think about. If you sit in a room with just adults, your train of thought goes a certain direction. You throw a kid in the mix, and it changes everything. And that keeps my drive going. So my youngest is 8 years old, just turned 8, which today, actually, because I'm working, I'm in the doghouse with her. That's my little princess, and the parties today, and Daddy couldn't make it. So, but I love my kids. I love kids in general. Like, you would see me react around other people's kids and think they're my kids. That's how much I just love kids. Like, so that part, a lot of people, if they don't know me closely, probably wouldn't know. You know what I mean? And I eat, sleep, and drink what I do. It's a reason when you look at somebody next to the other person and see the difference in how good this person may be and how okay this person may be. That's a lot of sacrifice. Like, you have to eat and sleep and drink this to be where we at right now.
Beautiful. So in the next 5 years, what can we expect from you, or where would you like to be? Maybe 2 more kids outside of that. So why 7? So why 7 though? Was that like a magic number?
No, it's not. It's just me looking at being 45 and having 5 and my youngest being 8. Like, to me, it's like the time is ticking. So I'm not going to wait. Certainly. Like, if it don't happen in the next 2-3 years, then can it? I'm not trying to be the 58-year-old dude in the park. It's not me, right?
Who's that grandkid?
Right. So, no, but that's why. 5 years from now, we have my production company has a lot of things in the works. We just wrapped up a show called Comicville that we will be editing this week and then shopping. There's 4 or 5 more shows in the works that we have to shoot in the next 3 months that we'll edit and shop. So I'm on that side of the camera too as well now. So in 5 years, you'll be seeing my programming on TV. You'll go to Netflix and see Talent Presents. You know, you'll go to some else, see Robin Hood Entertainment Presents, which is one of my companies. The Family Management, you know, all these companies that I'm intertwined in 5 years, you're going to start to see them on whatever outlet you watch your entertainment on. Netflix, Hulu, Showtime, HBO. We're just trying to get it out there.
Perfect. So I was looking at some of your like filmography, you know.
So my Playgirl centerfold.
Yes, the centerfold was interesting. I have a picture.
Yeah,
no,
I was a porn star, meat rack. Look me up. Go ahead.
Lord, I missed that one. So it looks like you did some writing. Brotherly Love, was that something that you wrote? So tell us more about that. You know, because that's something we don't really see. We expect you to be behind a mic, you know. What is up with the writing? Like, so the creative end, what made you want to write a movie?
Well, in essence, it's funny because I'm reading the book Cosby, Bill Cosby's book right now that came out last year. And all the writers that worked with Cosby, like 90% of them hated him because how, you know, his critiquing of them, but because every comedian feels like, Bill said to one top writer that came in when the Cosby Show, he was like, you don't have to sit down and be a writer. And the guy didn't have a clue what he meant by that, but Bill basically was saying that being a comic who make up stories and tell all this stuff on stage, we're in essence writers. We write our own stuff. So that is always in you. Like, when you sit down behind a desk and do it in that form, maybe not, but your ideas that you portray to somebody to write out, you're writing. You're co-writing. It started with Sunset Park. The script had been sitting for years. So by the time Fredro Starr and myself, we were the guys originally from New York City, when we got the script, the slang and everything was outdated. So the writer allowed us to punch it up, which was incredible. I mean, we didn't get any credit for it or whatever. We didn't care. We just cared how we looked on the screen. So it started there, and then the next script I got, same writer, punched it a little bit there. He let me ad-lib a lot. So by the time I got to Brotherly Love, a guy who had worked on a couple of films, this was his baby. And he was like, dude, this is what it is. He gave me the script and everything. And I'm like, as a comic, I think it's almost impossible to go verbatim off a script. So I was like, do you mind if I punch it up? He was like, no, by all means, whatever makes you comfortable, whatever. So then I end up rewriting half of it because of my character. He was half of the thing, I was half of the thing. And that's how that came about. But I think that's always going to be there. Because, like I said, as a comic, you're a natural writer.
BreakThru.com. This is Shania Cooper signing off with Talent. Have a good night.